Welcome to Inside North Attleborough Schools. My name is Susan Cullen. I'm the Superintendent of Schools, and this is the third edition of our new TV show. Today, I have our Technology Director, Miss Lynn Weigel, along with two wonderful students from our high school, Allie Harbour and Reed Holden. We're going to be talking about technology, the integration of technology, how their world has changed in education, and we're going to be building upon last month's, I believe it was last month's TV show that I spoke with just Miss Weigel about all of the advances that we've made in technology. So, with no further ado, I'd like to continue on and talk to the panel. How's everybody today?
Good.
Great.
Great. Last time we spoke, Miss Weigel, we talked about a lot of different things that have happened here in North Attleborough involving technology. You want to recap a little bit of some of the highlights we spoke about?
Yes, we spent a lot of time talking about the changes that have happened over the past 2.5 years. A lot of those changes have happened behind the scenes. It's to the, increasing the infrastructure in preparation for the additional things we want to add to the district. For example, new servers, virtual central servers, updating our network. We're working towards increasing bandwidth for all of the online and cloud applications that we're using, because it's definitely a problem for us at this point. Also improving the technology that's available in the classrooms, and that includes new desktop computers, laptop computers, netbooks, iPads, different types of tablets, interactive whiteboards, projectors. Lots and lots of things have been happening, and so that is changing the way things are happening in classrooms. And so for today, it will be interesting to hear how these students have, what their perspective is on what's been happening and where they see we need to go.
Exactly. So that's why I've asked Reed and Allie to come today to this show to talk about how has your education changed. You're seniors. You're just about to leave us. You started here as kindergartners. How has it changed? How has technology impacted your learning throughout the years?
I'd have to say, starting off, all we had was green blackboards in our elementary schools. Pen and paper was all we had. Our teachers tried the best they could, and they did a very good job because we have a great education system in North Attleborough. But if we had that technology that we have now, like the smart boards, which has you interact, and it just makes it a lot easier to remember. It's visual. Everybody's interacting with the teacher. It just makes everything a lot easier. So
what you're alluding to, Reed, is the fact that back in the day, if you had had some of the technology that's in the classrooms that we have now, you're anticipating that your learning would have been different.
Yeah.
So you're saying now that you can see that difference, because you guys are a generation that began your schooling with old-fashioned paper, pencil, chalkboard experiences, and now you're leaving with a glimpse of some technological advances. So has it impacted your learning, Allie?
Definitely. I think one thing that people don't think about so much is the accessibility that having technology in the classroom allows. So I was absent for a few days when I got my wisdom teeth out, and all of the notes that the teachers took on the whiteboards and the smart boards were all online. So I could go home and even over the weekend look over what I missed, and all the homework was up there and everything that in middle school teachers didn't do that. So you'd come back after 3 days of being out of school and just have a stack of stuff that you had to catch up on. Plus the teacher wouldn't be there to help you, every step of the way when you're learning it yourself. So to have the notes online and see the teacher's step-by-step work and not have to rely on other people's notes and everything has really helped me a lot, especially when you're a senior and you have so much going on.
You have a lot going
on,
I know, you really
Lots.
do. Now, how long has that been happening? How long have you been able to access from home some of the notes and things like that?
I think it's still something that's in progress.
Yes.
Not all teachers have embraced that. So one of the things that I would definitely recommend for the technology department is to do more about educating the teachers on how they can utilize it to help not only students, but it probably makes the teachers' lives a lot easier too, to not have to reteach a whole lesson to someone who's out.
You're absolutely right. I think that's a good point. One of the many reasons that I've asked you guys to come on the show was to give that perspective, because I think it's important. The power of your voices, seriously, and your perspectives and what you're thinking will help us get better at what we do. So let's go back a little bit more about the other kinds of changes that you've seen with everything that's gone on with technology, how it's changed your learning. You've just described something that happens if you're not in school, how you can quickly recap everything that would have happened if you weren't, when you weren't here. Huge difference in your learning curve. You're not missing that. It's not going to take you as long to make up. Anything else that comes to mind that you realize because of these new technology infusions on how it's impacted your learning?
Just being able to, you can go to our media center, borrow one of the miniature laptops that we have, take it back to your seat, be working with your books and everything, and have your own space, and use the internet straight through there. And it just opens up a lot of things that you can do with your learning. You can go and look up a video from Khan Academy teaching you the lesson that you were learning in class, just to help you figure out the little things you might have missed, and it just makes learning a lot easier.
You just mentioned an unbelievable resource that we're just, I think, scratching the surface with also. It's called Khan Academy.
Yes.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I'd love to hear your perspective on that, because that is on-demand learning. And oftentimes, I know, is when students are in class and they're hearing information and learning a new math problem or a way to work through a math problem the first time, when you get home at night, you might forget some of the details, and you need somebody to show you again. And so, talk about how Khan Academy has helped you with that, because that is that on-demand learning piece.
I think that the best thing about Khan Academy is that, like you said, not only is it on demand, so when you get home you can just relearn the whole entire lesson in front of you, but it also gives you a new perspective. Sometimes teachers explain things a way that they think is the best way for students to learn it, but since every student's different. For me, a lot of times, I'm a visual learner, so to have a video on Khan Academy that he walked you through the steps, and it's a lot of different subjects. I used it to review for AP Bio for the test, and they also have test prep on there that's specific to different tests. So it's really cool, and you can pause it if you're confused and rewind and have things done over again. And the new perspective is something that's really helped me a lot, because sometimes something just doesn't click right, and then I see the video on Khan Academy and it's just I understand it now, and I can pause it and rewatch it and just enjoy learning. Enjoy
learning in a different way. That's right, because it's more interactive, and it is, it hits different modalities. If you are visual, that's great. If you want to be able to repeat things again, a concept that might be really difficult, you're in control of doing that. That's the wave of the future of learning, and the way of the future of education, folks. Having resources available that you can reach out to. Technology is the venue to get it. But all of that, it's still uncharted water. Khan Academy is K-A-H-N for anybody at home, because we're probably saying it differently with an accent than other people around the country. I've been told I have an accent. I can't believe that. But anyway, I know. I guess. But Khan Academy is one piece of what you can access now that we have these technological skills. Anything else that you can think about your learning and how technology has impacted, how it's changed? Go ahead, Reed.
The one thing that's really helped me is one of our teachers he has a bunch of technology. He builds his own websites and stuff. He has these interactive polls that he does while he's doing notes. So as you're doing a problem, he'll put up a poll question that tests you on a physics concept that you usually wouldn't understand thinking about the real way you think, and physically it's wrong. And it's just kind of nice to have that interactive, everyone working together. You send a text in with your answer, and all the answers come up. You see who's thinking what. He can go over a subject if kids are struggling and everyone's getting it wrong, and touch on it more. It's just makes it a lot easier.
So you're talking about replacing the paper pencil quiz concept that we use in education that I'm sure folks at home are very familiar with, a pop quiz kind of thing when you'd come into a classroom. Teachers use that, we call it dipsticking, to find out how much the children understand, who may be confused in things, but this is instantaneous. And now you just talked about texting, so you're using your phone.
Yep.
Okay, which is a whole other concept that is brandy new with the world of education, and certainly at the high school we've been piloting some things, and we allow kids to bring in phones because they are handheld computers. We have to figure out a way to embrace it. I also feel very, very strongly we have to figure out a way to teach children to be able to utilize those things in a better way.
Right.
We have a speaker coming in that we'll talk about, don't let me forget that at the end of the show, to let folks know that we have someone coming in to talk about internet safety. But anybody would like to share with us on what's happening with this cell phone use at the high school?
Well, I can start the conversation
Sure.
because we are behind the scenes
Yeah.
getting ready for a bring your own device environment. We did talk about that at our last show. The idea will be, we're hoping to increase the bandwidth by the end of this school year because we need to have a lot of things in place to accommodate that, because if everyone's bringing in their own tablets, smartphones, laptops, we need to be able to support all of them being on our network. And we already know that our network is a little slow right now, so we couldn't allow for that this year until we get all those things in place. So part of that is educating staff, helping them understand what their role is in how they can manage that in their classroom when they're allowing students to bring in these devices and what that would look like in their classroom. That education piece. Then we also need to educate our students on their responsibilities on using these devices and what's acceptable and what they should and should not be doing with that. But really, I like to focus on how it's going to help increase the learning that's happening in the classroom and why we're allowing them to bring them in. So we have a lot of that already to flip the switch and be ready to go. Policies will be adjusted, training and education will happen, infrastructure will hopefully be in place and ready to support it all. And I'm excited about that. You hear a lot about districts going to one-on-one where they're buying devices and providing them for people. I don't see that as something that's easy for districts to sustain budgetarily. So I prefer the bring your own device environment for a couple of reasons. For that, but mostly because it's a very personal thing. You might like working on an iPad, you might like having a Droid tablet, or maybe just working on your smartphone. Some people prefer a laptop or a netbook. And I think it's a personal choice. What tool works for you and what tool do you want to use during your time learning? And so that's why I think that's a better environment.
So BYOD, that's the acronym that's coming. What do you think about that, you two? Here you are, seniors, you're about to leave us. What would you think if you had BYOD at the high school right now?
I'm bummed we're missing it. But I think that's like an awesome tool that's going to help learning. I always well, not always, but a lot of times I retype my notes that I take in class just because it's so much neater, and I'm kind of like a neat freak, but it helps a lot. And a lot of times, like when you're writing something, it not only does it hurt your hand, but you miss things, and it's messy and it's unorganized, and to have it all just in class taking notes, to have that on my computer would just be awesome, and then it would allow me to color code things and everything. But
you could organize in a different way instead of having to rewrite your notes. Reed, your thoughts on BYOD?
Yeah, definitely. If you could bring in a laptop and they could, even the teachers could send you the notes, and you could interactively work on it instead of, because when you're writing things down, you lose what they're actually teaching you, and you're too concentrated on writing. So if you could take their notes, have them sent to you, look at them, have them right in front of you while they're teaching it, I think it'll help kids a lot more.
See, we do really well in this district. A lot of it has to do with the effort of the teachers, but it's the commitment from you guys, from the students. It's the interaction, I believe, with the community. But I know we could do a lot better. I think about what you need now, what you two are going to need for your future next year, going off to college or career, although I know you both are going to be heading off to college. You're going to be walking into those BYOD environments. Would it be beneficial, from your point of view, if you had had an opportunity to work through it in high school with high school teachers that you know pretty well, that know you pretty well, to work through some of those glitches? Could you see this have been a benefit for you moving forward in your future?
Definitely. I mean, in college, you see everyone bring their laptops in, and the teachers working with them through the laptops. I couldn't even imagine writing all the notes from college down and stuff, and it seems as though it makes everything easier. And already having those skills and using that in high school would just make you prepared, ready to go in college. So it's too bad we missed it.
Well, you'll be fine. I'm sure you're going to be fine. You all have a pretty embedded understanding of technology, and I think you'll pick it up very quickly. One of the other things you're going to find when you get to school that's happening, and high schools are starting to look at this, actually K-12 we're starting to look at this, is the ability to have all of our textbooks digitally. And so I know of a young man that was at a conference we went to recently who is in college, and he carries nothing but an iPad with him all day long in school. Does all his notes, gets to his websites, and all of his books are purchased digitally. He does not buy physical textbooks. Everything's here. So that's all he's carrying with him when he goes to class. So think about that. Think about where we're heading with that, and we're already beginning to have conversations about that for public schools.
What do you think about that?
That could be cool.
I think that's awesome just because there's less to carry, but also you don't think about like how helpful that would be. Like you might forget a book. Like that's happened to me so many times where I forget a book in my locker, in my car, or wherever. To have them all in one spot, it's not just convenient, but it is helpful. Like it's a lot faster too, so you can be more productive when you have everything there already.
I have a little bit, truth be told, I have a little bit of an issue for the younger grades because I honestly feel, and you know, as a reading teacher in my former life, there's nothing more powerful than turning that page. I think as kids get into chapter books, you know, you shouldn't turn back the corner of the page, but having that happen, you know, I mean, I don't know, there's something about a book. And maybe I'm that older generation that just likes that, the feel of that, because however, I can see it as an option or an opportunity for kids. We do at the middle school right now, and this is what we're doing for the future. We purchase textbooks to be used in the classroom, so you can get that, you know, interactive feel, and then the kids can access them online. It's sort of a combination of things. We're not at all textbooks on, you know, the computers yet, and we don't even have that option at the high school yet, but that might be something that we do. Textbooks, you know, for classes, for classrooms, accessibility for kids at home. And if you don't have those computers at home, you could use one of the textbooks that we have for the classroom, because we're in a meshing point. We're in a transition point of, first of all, trying to solicit funds, which we've been so appreciative of the town supporting that. You guys have lived that, not having this for a while and then boom, we've had this opportunity to integrate a lot, and it's been pretty quick. Gosh, it's past 3 years.
2.5.
Since you've been here.
Yes.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So combining the feel for a book, having classroom books accessible for kids, and also having it on the computer is really where we're trying to go to now, which would prepare you guys for, you know, for the future. Speaking of the future, what do you anticipate that you may need moving forward? What have you heard about? What are the things that you're looking forward to learning more about? And my reason for asking that is, what could we have done as a district to help with that future piece?
I think that, like my parents both use technology a lot, and I can kind of see them struggling because they didn't grow up with that like we did, but I actually don't know how to use Microsoft Excel. So, I mean, I think that like my parents use it a lot, and that's something that they need for their fields. And I think like a lot of different tools like that you'll need as an adult, we could probably, I know we have PowerPoint, which is really good, and I know it's hard because technology changes so fast, but I think something like that might be helpful. And
course,
just to,
like a course.
Or integrated into the courses that you teach, Excel.
Like if they, not maybe maybe a separate class for Microsoft Excel, but having like the teachers use it more. I don't know, different tools like that like I don't know anything about, and maybe in my field I might be required to use that, but introductions like that early on would be very helpful in the future.
It seems like we only use either PowerPoint or just Word documents, and if they somehow integrated all parts of the computer, like Excel and other things, creating like an Excel spreadsheet for a physics project and stuff, and teaching us along the way, it'll probably make it easier for us to incorporate those skills when we do have to use it in a job setting.
You're bringing up some very, very good points, because those are tools that can be utilized for different reasons. You know, learning the program is just a piece of why you need to do it, because it's really about a physics project or a spreadsheet that you want to document information. So having the exposure to the tool and the introduction and the concept of the tool in something that is meaningful is really what we should be doing when we teach technology. And I know Ms. Weigel would like to say something about that, because integration of technology within the concepts of the curriculum that's important for kids is how we should be teaching this.
Right, and this is where the shift needs to take place, and it's happening gradually. There is a shift happening, and it changes the way teaching and learning looks in a classroom, and there's a lot of training that's needed for teachers to understand how that will look and how they can use those tools better. They may need to understand better and have an opportunity to learn how to do that. So I agree with you. I think that you should be using all the tools that are on our computers and tablets and desktops and all of that, so that you, when you get to college and when you get into the workforce, you know how to use them, because they're a fact of life for you. It doesn't matter what job you get really in the future, you will be using technology, and very likely using things like Excel or Microsoft Word or database. And not everybody's being exposed to that the way they should be yet. And so we have some catching up to do.
We
there.
do, and that's one of the particular reasons that I'm so excited about the technology that we've been able to place in many of our schools. We're still on a roll. We still have a ways to go. But because if you didn't have those resources, the tools to use to model this for kids, you couldn't teach it to them. And so we're technically doing a disservice if you think about it, because if you went in understanding all of that, because the teachers had the tools to be able to show you how to utilize it, you'd be better off heading off into college. To me, that's important. We need to prepare our kids for the future. It's different, very different from where we came, very different from how we learned, from how you learned a few years ago. And we have to think critically on what do we need to do to prepare you guys as you head off for the world, which is also ever-changing. You've learned a lot about the world has become smaller, folks are saying. They talk about 21st century skills, which is, really branching out beyond just a town or a state, but you're going to be stepping into opportunities to talk and chat and interact with people from all over the world.
Well, I'll add to that, because of technology, we are trying to, as educators and as an education system, prepare you for a future that we have no idea what that's going to look like. You don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, I think about when I was in high school, and we won't mention what year that was, but we did not even have computers. I never even touched a computer in high school. And here we are all these years later, and that's just a fact of life now. And think about how fast technology changes every day, every week. Something new is hitting the ground, and we're having to learn something else, so there's another new way to do what we've always done. So really what we're doing is preparing our kids for a future that we don't know what that looks like.
The great unknown.
Yeah, it's a little daunting.
There are many skills that the children, particularly in North Attleborough, get as they go through the schools. Want to talk about some of those? You've been in this community, you've been taught by some quality teachers, you've lived here. What is it that you're bringing, what's in you from all of this experience of your educational opportunity here in North Attleborough? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Just all throughout school, they've always really instilled that work ethic that just because you don't think you can learn it and just because you're struggling with it doesn't mean that you can't learn it.
Yeah.
And every single teacher has worked tirelessly to make sure that every kid gets the proper education they need. In our school system, they never give up on people. Yeah. It's kind of nice, especially when we didn't have the technology. It didn't really matter. They still performed to the best of their ability and did what they could. So we're lucky to have that kind of support.
That's right.
It's going to make me emotional. I don't want to leave. But I agree, definitely. Like, the teachers have worked so hard. I actually want to be a teacher someday, so.
You've said that before, too. You're still thinking that.
Yeah,
Great.
I am.
Great.
Just, like, seeing how much, like, the teachers have impacted my life, like, so much. And, like, throughout the school system, like, I started here in kindergarten, now I'm a senior, gonna take on the world in the future, to think about how much they've prepared us, not just with technology, but technology has really helped us to learn more and been a great tool in learning skills that we're going to use for the rest of our lives.
The underpinnings of what is here in North Attleborough, this rich community, this rich belief in all children can learn, the support that we give kids, I think honestly the small little neighborhood schools as a start to your education, the connectedness that you feel with the neighbors and the principals and the teachers in all of those schools is part of the wonderful richness of this town, and that's very important for us to preserve. This is an additional layer that's only going to get us to be better at what we do. And I guess I feel a sense of urgency as the superintendent, because I know the world is ever changing. And I know we have this pot of amazing, and a foundation that's been amazing for many, many, many years. And the challenge is to sustain that and even do better. So that's my goal, and working with the leadership team and the school committee and the town to make sure that we have that for the kids that are going to be graduating 12 years from now. It'll be a different TV show that we'll be talking about. So before we end this program, any closing remarks that you'd like to say about this concept of the world, the new world of technology, and how it's changed your learning, and what we should really make sure we do for the kids that are going to be here next year?
I just hope that everybody tries to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. Teachers, it's learning the technology and putting in that extra work. I know they will, because they always have. But just making sure that you give that extra effort to learn how to use it, because it will help every person just move on in life. So
I'd just like to say that you've really done a great job, considering back in, you know, first and second grade we didn't have technology at all. We didn't have cell phones or anything, and now, you know, we could always use improvement just like everything in life, but it's come so far, and it's so hard because it changes so much, and it's such an expensive thing like technology. It's very pricey, but it's so worth it. And it's helped me, and I know a lot of my friends, it's helped them too, just to learn and be prepared for the future. And technology really is the future, and it's something that is so worth the investment and the time to get it in there and get it right, and to have us exposed to it really early. So, I mean, so far we've done a great job with that, with all the different classes, and the media center has so many computers now, whereas back when I was younger, you know, we didn't have that so much. And the teachers have started to embrace it, which my parents, you know, they're starting to embrace it too, and I can see at home how much of a struggle it is for someone who didn't grow up with it to learn it. But they've really done a great job, and, you know, graduating this year, I do feel prepared for college and life.
That's great. That's great. What are you planning on doing? I know I talk about this a lot. You are on my superintendent's council, so I get to see you guys on a monthly basis. So have you decided on where you're going to go to college, or what you're going to do when you grow up?
Like I said, I want to be a teacher, and I mean, I'm going about it with an open mind like anything, because I know a lot of people change their majors in college, but I just think that the concept of teaching someone something and having such an impact on their life at like a young age or high school, it's just something that's impacted me a lot, and I think it's really cool. That's why I want to, you know, do that. So
where are you planning on going?
Right now, probably Providence College is at the top of my list, but I'm still waiting on a couple schools to get back from me. So.
Okay. Reed?
Moving on, I hope to eventually get my degree in physical therapy. I've always just liked working with people, interacting with people, helping some people recover from some sort of injury or something that's holding them back. So I've always thought that'd be an interesting career to go into. It's going to be difficult. It's 6 years and a long road, but hopefully by the end I'll be ready to go. So, and I think I'll be going to Quinnipiac.
Okay, great.
In the fall.
These are exciting times for the seniors in our district, and the seniors in every district. But I want to thank you both, and I want to thank you, Ms. Weigel, for coming on the show again. Great insights, and I think it's really important for folks at home to have heard that perspective, because as you talked about your parents, it's hard to learn something new, and the kids coming in know it more than we do as the adults. So it's that great, you know, overlap that we're trying to get our arms around in education, so that we can help to guide that learning, so we can help to guide that understanding. We do have an opportunity coming up. I'm glad I remembered this. Want to talk a little bit about Katie Greer that's coming to the district next week?
Yes, she's coming next week. It is on our website. During the day, she'll be doing some assemblies with the middle school and high school students on being online and some of the things you really need to know and understand about what you're doing online with social networking and all of that. She'll be back in the evening from 6:30 to 7:30 to talk with parents specifically about what they need to be aware of and understand, because a lot of times parents don't understand what's happening online. It's an emerging thing, and it's changing every single day, and what people are doing on things like Facebook or Twitter or things like that, and what legal responsibilities we have for what we post. So she'll be in she's been here before.
Yeah.
Before I was here, she's been in to speak with people, and she's coming back with an updated version of that presentation and helping a new generation of people understand what's going on. So
We're excited for that.
Yeah.
The intent of these programs that I've been doing with folks these past few months has really been to give the folks at home an opportunity to hear about what's going on inside of our North Attleborough schools, and asking for support from the town, as we always do, but in a different venue, so that we can give some education as to why. It's not a drama-filled thing, it's just the reality of what is going on. And honestly, folks, there's nothing more important than the students that we have here in the district. So I want to thank both of you so much for coming here today. It was fun.
It was fun.
Maybe you can come back again if we think of a different topic. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. This concludes our third edition of Inside North Attleborough Schools. We appreciate the time and effort that folks have put in to watch these. I love suggestions and ideas from folks at home. If you have anything else you'd really like us to talk about. Driving in today, I thought my next topic should be about a transition to middle school, because that can always be very challenging for our kids. So that might be the next topic that we talk about. So keep tuned for the next edition of Inside North Attleborough Schools. Thank you.